My wife took my brother's hand, pressed it back onto her bare waist, and told him, "Leave it there," while she looked straight at me. Her name is Erin, his is Tyler, and I'm Daniel, the man who had spent 9 years believing both of them understood the difference between teasing and betrayal. Before that cookout ended, I shut off the grill, sent everyone home, and stepped out of my marriage for good. We lived outside Des Moines, in the kind of neighborhood where backyards ran into one another without fences tall enough to hide behind. Once every summer, Erin and I hosted a small family cookout. Nothing ceremonial. My parents came, Tyler came, and we ate too much food while music played from a speaker on the patio. We owned 6 blue enamel plates for those gatherings. 5 were smooth around the rim. One had a crescent-shaped chip that made it look older than the others. The chip wasn't sharp, but nobody wanted that plate, so I always used it. Erin had started setting it at my place before anyone arrived. "Daniel gets his usual," she would say. Everybody laughed because that was my place in the family. I took whatever was damaged, inconvenient, late, or embarrassing, and made it seem normal. Tyler was 3 years younger than me and had spent most of his life going one sentence past funny. He could charm a room, then turn someone into the joke before they realized what was happening. If they got angry, he said they were sensitive. If he apologized, he did it with a grin that asked everyone to forgive him before he finished speaking. My parents depended on me to translate him. When Tyler missed a dinner, I told them he was buried at work. When he mocked one of Dad's stories until Dad stopped talking, I changed the subject. When Mom said, "You know how your brother is," I heard the real request underneath it. "Make this comfortable again, Daniel." Most of the time, I did. Erin used to be the person who saw that pattern most clearly. A year into our marriage, after Tyler turned Thanksgiving dinner into a running joke about my job, she told me, "Your whole family hands you his mess because they know you'll carry it away." She was right. I also thought she was on my side. That changed gradually enough that I kept finding harmless explanations for it. Tyler started directing more of his attention toward Erin. At first, it was ordinary teasing. Then it became comments about how good she looked, private jokes, inside group conversations, and hugs that lasted a little longer than they needed to. Erin didn't merely tolerate it, she began performing for it. If Tyler teased her, she leaned closer and gave it back. If he complimented her, she glanced at me to see whether I had noticed. At dinner one night, he put both hands on her hips to move her chair out of his way instead of asking her to scoot forward. She laughed after he walked away. I brought it up when we were alone. "He likes getting a reaction," she said. "Stop giving him one." "I'm not worried about him getting a reaction. I'm asking why you're encouraging him." She told me I was reading too much into it. Then she kissed my cheek as if that closed the subject. The night before the cookout, I tried once more. We were making a grocery list at the kitchen counter when she added Tyler's favorite beer without asking whether he was bringing anything. "Please don't feed that thing with him tomorrow," I said. "What thing?" "The flirting, the touching, the way he talks to you like I'm not standing there." Erin put down the pen. "I'm allowed to joke with your brother." "I didn't say you were. I said there's a line, and lately you both keep walking up to it." She looked annoyed, but she said, "Fine, I hear you." That mattered later. She could not claim she had misunderstood the boundary. I had named it less than a day before she crossed it while watching me. My parents arrived early the next afternoon. Dad carried a bowl of potato salad, and Mom brought more buns than 5 people could possibly eat. Erin arranged everything on the patio table, including those enamel plates. The chipped blue one was waiting at the place closest to the grill. "Your usual," she said when she saw me notice it. I smiled. At the time, it still felt like an old family joke instead of a warning. Tyler arrived almost 40 minutes late with a 6-pack under his arm. Erin walked across the patio to greet him before I could set down the grill tongs. She wore denim shorts and a green cropped shirt that left a strip of her waist bare. She had worn it before. Her clothes were not the problem, and I never treated them like they were. Tyler gave her a long hug and said, "There's my favorite Mercer." Erin laughed. "I'm only a Mercer by marriage." Technicality. I watched her glance toward me before she let him go. Tyler came to the grill and punched my shoulder like we were boys. He asked whether I had learned to cook burgers without turning them into hockey pucks. I told him the cooler was beside the table. I wasn't interested in starting a confrontation over a greeting, and he knew it. That was the role Tyler tested. I absorbed. Everyone else relaxed. For the next half hour, Erin and Tyler kept finding reasons to occupy the same few feet of patio. She pulled her chair beside his even though her place was across from mine. He showed her something on his phone, and she rested her hand on his forearm while she laughed. When Mom asked what was funny, they called it an inside joke. I stayed at the grill because the food needed attention, and because I wanted to give Erin a chance to remember what we had discussed. Every time I looked over, she was already watching me. Then she would turn back to Tyler with a little smile. At one point, she walked over and asked why I was being so quiet. "I'm cooking," I said. "You look angry." "I asked you about this last night." She lowered her voice. "Nothing is happening." "You're making sure something is happening every time you check whether I'm watching." Her expression hardened. "I'm not spending the afternoon managing your jealousy." She returned to the table before I could answer. Tyler whispered something to her, and she laughed louder than the comment deserved. A few minutes later, Erin bent over the cooler to get another drink. Tyler stepped behind her. He didn't need to. There was plenty of space on either side. He placed one hand directly on the bare skin of her waist and leaned close enough that his mouth was beside her ear. Erin straightened slowly. She didn't flinch or pull away. Tyler looked across the patio and saw me watching. For once, he seemed to recognize that he had gone too far. He removed his hand and took half a step back. That could have been the end of it. Erin reached behind her, caught him by the wrist and pulled his hand forward again. She flattened his palm against her waist, right where he had put it the first time. "Leave it there," she told him. "Daniel will survive." Then she looked directly into my eyes. There was no confusion in her face. She wasn't startled, drunk, or caught in an awkward pose. She had made a decision and wanted me to witness it. Tyler had crossed the line first, but Erin took his retreat away from him and placed him back across it. The grill hissed behind me. Nobody spoke. I set the tongs on the side shelf. Then I turned the 3 burner knobs to off, one at a time. The flames disappeared beneath the grate. I carried the tray of food inside, returned to the patio and unplugged the speaker. Mom asked, "Daniel, what are you doing?" "The cookout is over," I said. "Take what you brought and head home." Erin gave a short, disbelieving laugh. "You cannot be serious." "I'm completely serious." Tyler had finally moved his hand. He held both palms up as if that proved he had done nothing. "Come on, man," he said. "It was a joke. I watched you put your hand on my wife. I watched you take it away when I saw you. Then I watched her put it back. Both choices count." Erin stepped between us, though I had not moved toward him. "I was messing with you because you were glaring at us all afternoon. You did exactly what I asked you not to do, and you used my brother to make sure it hurt. You're ending a family cookout over a hand on my waist." "No, I'm ending it because you put the hand back." My mother tried to lower the temperature the way she always did. She said Tyler had poor judgment, Erin had pushed a joke too far, and everybody needed a few minutes to settle down. Then she gave me the line I had heard my entire life. "You know how your brother is." "Yes," I said. "That sentence is why he still acts like this. I'm not fixing it today." Dad looked from Tyler to me. He didn't defend either of us. He picked up the potato salad and told Mom they should go. Tyler called after him, asking whether they were really going to let me behave this way. Nobody answered. He gathered his beer and walked around the side of the house without looking at me. Mom paused beside the table. "Call me when you calm down." "I am calm." That was what none of them knew how to handle. I wasn't shouting. There was no fight for them to break up and no insult they could demand I take back. I had simply stopped providing the afternoon they expected from me. When my parents left, the patio looked abandoned in the middle of a meal. Condensation ran down the drink cans. The buns were still covered. My chipped blue plate sat untouched at my place. Erin followed me into the kitchen. "You humiliated me in front of your family," she said. I placed the tray on the counter. "You took my brother's hand and used it to send me a message. It was one stupid second. You told him to leave it there. Because you were acting like you owned me. I never told you what to wear, where to sit, or who you could talk to. I asked you not to encourage my brother to touch you like that. You agreed, and then you made a show of doing it anyway." She crossed her arms and looked toward the window. For a moment, I thought she would keep arguing about the definition of flirting. Instead, she said something more honest. "I wanted a reaction from you. You got one. That's not what I mean. You never get jealous. You never fight for anything. Sometimes I don't know if you even care who looks at me. So you picked Tyler." She didn't answer. "You could have told me you felt ignored," I said. "You could have asked for my attention. Instead, you chose the one man you knew I've spent my life making excuses for, and you put his hand on your body while you watched me." Erin's voice dropped. "I liked him wanting me. I liked knowing it bothered you. That doesn't mean I wanted to sleep with him." The directness hurt more than another denial would have. She had not fallen into an innocent moment. She enjoyed my brother's sexual attention, and she deliberately turned it into a weapon against me. She tried to shift the focus back to Tyler. "He touched me first. Maybe ask your brother why he thought that was okay." "I will. He's responsible for his hand. But he removed it. You took it and put it back. I'm not going to make him the whole story so you can disappear from your own choice." Her face changed when she realized I was not going to follow the old family script. I wasn't going to blame Tyler for everything, forgive him after an apology, and let everyone return to dinner. I also wasn't going to defend him so Erin and I could pretend our marriage was intact. Both relationships had failed in the same minute. Erin asked whether I was seriously considering divorce over something that had not become a kiss or an affair. "I'm considering the fact that you knew exactly where my deepest family wound was, and you pressed on it because you wanted entertainment." "That sounds dramatic." It looked dramatic from the grill, too. I slept in the spare room that night. Erin knocked twice. The first time she wanted to keep arguing. The second time she said she was sorry and asked me to come back to our bedroom. I told her I would talk in the morning, but I was staying where I was. I didn't sleep much. What kept replaying was Tyler's hand landing on her. It was the moment he pulled away. Even he had recognized my presence and the boundary he had crossed. Erin saw that retreat and reversed it. By morning she had made coffee and set my blue mug beside the pot. She looked tired and frightened. She said we should cancel the whole weekend, stay home and work through what happened. I told her I was leaving. "For how long?" she asked. "I don't know yet, but this is not a cooling-off exercise where you wait for me to resume my old place." She started crying. "You're throwing away 9 years. I'm responding to what you decided those 9 years were worth when you looked at me and put his hand back." I stayed in an extended stay room on the west side of town for several weeks, then rented a small apartment closer to work. There was no dramatic exit. I took what I needed over a few quiet visits while Erin was with a friend. We spoke about practical things and nothing else. She sent long messages. Some minimized what happened. Some blamed our communication. Others were real apologies. She said there had never been anything secret between her and Tyler. She offered to show me every message they had exchanged. I declined. I wasn't conducting an investigation, and I didn't need a hidden affair to make the witnessed betrayal count. If nothing else had happened, that did not improve what she chose to do in front of me. Tyler called 3 days after the cookout. I almost let it go to voicemail, then answered because I wanted one conversation without Mom translating either of us. "Erin grabbed my hand," he said immediately. "You saw that. I also saw you put it there first." I was joking around. "You touched my wife's bare waist while I stood 4 steps away. And then I stopped. Because I saw you." He went quiet. Then he said Erin had put him in a bad position and he had frozen. "You didn't freeze," I said. "You smiled and left your hand where she wanted it. You liked being chosen over me." He didn't deny that. He only said it had lasted a couple of seconds and should not destroy a family. "You're not the only reason my marriage ended," I told him. "Erin made the choice that mattered most, but you're the reason you and I are finished." He called me self-righteous. Then, in the same breath, he asked me to call Mom because she was upset with him, and he did not know what to say. That request told me he still understood nothing. "No," I said. "You're really going to leave me to deal with this?" "Yes." I ended the call. My mother phoned later that evening. She said Tyler wanted to apologize and asked me to arrange a dinner so we could clear the air. I reminded her that Tyler was capable of calling people, choosing words and living with an uncomfortable silence. "But you've always been able to get through to him," she said. "That was never my job. I just kept accepting it." She asked whether I would come to the next family dinner if Tyler stayed away. I said no. Rearranging seats would not repair what had happened, and I wasn't ready to sit at another table where everyone waited for me to make them comfortable. For the first time, I let my family remain upset without treating their discomfort like an emergency. The weeks became months. Erin and I met once at a quiet coffee shop because she wanted to ask me face to face whether our separation was permanent. She looked thinner, and the confidence she had worn at the cookout was gone. She gave me the cleanest apology she had offered. She did not blame Tyler, alcohol, or me. She said she had felt invisible beside my calmness and had wanted to force jealousy out of me. Tyler was the most painful person she could use, so she used him. "I didn't think you would leave," she said. "I thought you'd finally get angry and then we'd make up. That was the gamble you made with our marriage. Is there anything I can do now?" "No." She cried quietly. I did not enjoy it, and I did not punish her with another speech. I sat there until she was ready to leave. Then I told her I hoped she eventually understood that being forgiven was not the same as being allowed back into someone's life. Our separation became permanent. We had no final reunion, no last-minute promise, and no discovery that made the decision easier. Erin's single deliberate choice remained exactly what it had been when I saw it from the grill. It was enough. I have not spoken to Tyler since our phone call. My parents eventually stopped asking me to mediate. That silence changed our family more than any argument could have. Tyler now has to answer for Tyler, and my parents have to decide what they will accept without asking me to rename it for them. I miss parts of my old life. I miss the version of Erin I trusted. I miss laughing with my father over a grill and hearing my mother complain that I bought too much food. Missing those things has never made me confuse them with the life I actually had at the end. The chipped blue plate stayed in the house with the rest of the cookout set. One Sunday evening in my apartment, I cooked a hamburger in a skillet and ate at the small counter beside the window. My phone buzzed once with a message from the muted family conversation. I did not turn it over. When I finished, I washed the plain white plate, set it upright in the drying rack, and left my phone face down beside it.